Chair, and as I briefly mentioned to you on a break, as a member of Parliament on behalf of the Green Party of Canada here in this place, I've been subjected to special rules since Stephen Harper developed a special motion out of PMO. Every PMO since then has insisted on telling every committee to pass said motion at the beginning of every session after every election. So first, Mr. Harper created it, then Mr. Trudeau asked every committee to just pass it automatically without thinking about it or debating it, and certainly without speaking to the members of Parliament to whom it has an immediate impact. The same thing has happened now under the current Prime Minister after the April election. So I need to put on the record that, again, what the committee passed after the election, every committee asked to pass an identical motion, makes a mockery of the notion that the committee is the master of its own process. Therefore, when I complain to the Speaker that my rights are infringed, and I make a point of privilege on that point, the Speaker always says, well, the committee is the master of its own process. The Speaker has no role over protecting my rights. If this committee had not passed the motion under which we are now operating, by which my amendments here today are deemed moved, over which I have no power or control to speak to, other than briefly to each amendment, I'm not allowed to vote on my amendments. I'm not allowed to withdraw my amendments. This process, if it had not been carried by a motion by this committee, would have left me with rights at report stage in the full chamber, able to put forward amendments, substantive amendments at report stage at the whole chamber. As it is, this is prejudicial to the rights of smaller parties, MPs for smaller parties. It means I can't be in the House right now debating Bill C-20 because I must be here for the brief opportunity to speak to my amendments. I'll do so now. I appreciate being able to put on the record that my protest remains in place, that this procedure by every committee needs to be examined, and I don't imagine any of my friends around the table knew that in passing this motion, you are reducing the reduced rights I already have. Now, to the amendment, which is critical. Bill C-15, with amendments to the Red Tape Reduction Act, has achieved and attracted much public attention. They are fundamentally offensive to democracy across Canada, to the laws that are already carried. We have in the Red Tape Reduction Act amendments found under Division 5 in this over 600-page omnibus budget bill, something that is extraordinary. It's never been introduced in any bill in this Parliament before. It's similar to changes made in Bill C-5, the Build Canada Act, in that it presumes that a government can decide in passing a law to break other laws that are already in place. In C-5, it was Cabinet as a whole, Governor and Council, could decide a project was a quote-unquote project of national significance. I won't go back into C-5. But C-15, in this section under Division 5, proposes to say that an individual cabinet member can decide on their personal discretion without mandatory statutory guidelines or criteria that it is in the public interest that an entity defined as a person or persons or association or corporation may be exempted from any law within their general sphere of jurisdiction as a minister if they decide it's in the public interest and the benefits outweigh the risks. We were told, this committee was told by representation witnesses from Treasury Board that these so-called regulatory sandboxes are entirely normal. They're routine. Pat us on the head and tell us nothing to worry about here. So I've had a very interesting adventure learning about regulatory sandboxes because they're hardly routine. They're not typical in Canadian law. They go back to decisions made under the United Kingdom Financial Conduct Authority back in 2017. They go back to the Monetary Authority of Singapore, 2016. What they're about is creating innovation opportunities for financial products, for things in the financial sector. And yet this application, as it's being put forward in Bill C-15, is far broader than innovations in financial services or financial products is, as we read the entities that are and the scope of activities and the allowance to pursue innovation in the discretion of a single minister, are far broader than what's found in other countries. So in an attempt to respect what the government is trying to do here, bring forward the first of the two of the amendments to this section, Partie vert 1. This is an attempt simply to ensure that in the opening statements of what the mandate is, why we're doing this, what it's all about, is to confine the application of these regulatory sandboxes to, quote-unquote, genuine innovation within the financial sector while protecting public interest. This adheres to what we were told is routine in other countries. A regulatory sandbox, as a concept, is not intended to say that you can remove, as Mike Harris did in Ontario in his common sense revolution going after red tape, reducing the protections for public water supplies that led to the deaths in Walkerton. It can't be that broad. It should be restricted to its historic, traditional use of the term regulatory sandbox to financial innovations within the financial sector. So that's Partie vert 1. I hope, please, in the interest of Canadians from coast to coast who are watching this and hoping that this can't really be about to happen in an omnibus budget bill, please, to all friends around the table, regardless of party, this is a respectful amendment to respect what the government is trying to do, but to restrict the scope of its application. Thank you.